My monster-in-law invites my husband's ex to every family event, calling her the daughter-in-law she never had. I met Blake 4 years ago at a random restaurant. We'd gone to the same high school, but weren't close back then because he was dating Candace, this girl from the grade below us. They'd been together since middle school, one of those couples everyone assumed would get married. When we reconnected after college, I asked about her. He told me they'd broken up a year and a half earlier. She dumped him, saying she wanted to explore the world, but would come back to him someday. Translation: she wanted to date other guys, but keep him as a backup. He'd finally moved on by the time we met. We started dating and everything was perfect until he brought me home for Christmas to meet his family. Candace was there. His mom, Sharon, had invited her. I thought it was a one-time thing, but Blake explained that Sharon loved Candace and they'd stayed friends even after the breakup, talking every other week. That first Christmas, Candace spent the entire night making jokes about my height, my outfit, my makeup. Sharon laughed at everything. When Blake tried to defend me, Sharon put me on the spot and asked if I had a problem with Candace's jokes. I knew if I said yes, they'd call me insecure, so I said I didn't care. I saw the disappointment flash across both their faces. They wanted me to crack. That's when I decided they'd never get that satisfaction from me. For 2 years, I endured it. Every family event, there was Candace in designer dresses while Sharon gushed over her. They'd talk about high school memories, inside jokes, that promise ring Blake gave her when they were 18. Sharon would say things like, "Candace always had such natural elegance," while looking at my Target dress. Or, "Some women just have that special something," while Candace flipped her hair. Blake wanted to tell his mom to stop inviting Candace, but I refused. I told him I wasn't going to lose to them by acting bothered. The worst part was Sharon's comments about how Candace was the daughter-in-law she wished she had, how some people just fit better into certain circles. All while I sat right there, but I smiled through it all. I acted like their words rolled off my back because I refused to give them the satisfaction. Then 3 days ago came Sharon's 49th birthday party. Blake didn't want to go because his coworker's engagement party was the same night, but Sharon guilted him into coming. We agreed we'd leave right after the cake. We showed up and immediately something felt wrong. Candace was there in a gown like she was going to the Oscars. Sharon kept giggling and whispering with her in the corner. At 5:30, Blake's dad brought out 2 cakes. One said, "Happy birthday, Sharon." The other said, "Happy almost anniversary." Nobody understood what was happening. Then Candace stepped forward, grabbed Blake by the arm, and pulled him to stand next to her. She announced to the entire party that 10 years ago on Sharon's birthday, Blake had gotten down on one knee and given her a promise ring before they left for different colleges. She held up her hand, showing everyone she still wore it. She said it had been 10 years since that special day, and even though life took them in different directions, she wanted to celebrate what could have been. Sharon was beaming, saying she was happy to let them steal her thunder for their almost anniversary. The room went completely silent. Even the other guests looked uncomfortable. Candace hugged Blake and he just stood there frozen. Sharon cut the anniversary cake and tried to feed a piece to Blake like he was the groom. That's when he snapped back to reality. He backed away from his mother and the cake. Sharon looked confused and asked what was wrong. Blake exploded. He started yelling that they were both delusional and pathetic. He called them shallow and self-involved. He said he was ashamed to be related to Sharon and ashamed he'd ever dated Candace because they were the trashiest women he'd ever met. I'd never seen Blake yell like that. He's usually the calmest person I know. But years of this had finally broken him. He grabbed my hand and we stormed toward the door. That's when Sharon screamed his name. We both stopped. She was standing there, mascara running down her face, the cake knife still in her hand. Behind her, Candace had this look on her face I'd never seen before. Not smug, not embarrassed, something darker. Sharon's voice cracked as she said, "Blake, please. There's something you need to know about why I've been doing this." My phone buzzed. I glanced down. A text from an unknown number. Check Blake's jacket pocket. The inside left one. Right now. I looked up. Candace was staring at me, her phone in her hand. I didn't move. Blake was still facing his mother, his back rigid with anger. The entire room had gone silent except for someone's nervous cough near the punch bowl. Sharon's eyes darted between Blake and me, then to Candace. That's when I noticed Blake's dad, Raymond, standing off to the side with his arms crossed, staring at the floor like he wanted it to swallow him whole. "Blake," Sharon said again, softer this time. "Please just listen." "No," Blake said. His voice was low now, dangerous. "I'm done listening. I'm done with all of this." My phone buzzed again. Same number. "Do it now or you'll regret it." I reached over and slid my hand into Blake's jacket pocket. He looked at me confused, but before he could ask what I was doing, my fingers touched paper. I pulled out a folded receipt. Blake saw it and his face went white. "What is that?" he asked. I unfolded it. It was from a jewelry store in the city, dated 4 days ago. One custom engagement ring, paid in full. My heart stopped. Blake and I had talked about getting engaged eventually, but we hadn't looked at rings yet. We hadn't even set a timeline. Sharon stepped forward. "Blake, I can explain." "Explain what?" I said, my voice shaking. I held up the receipt. Why does Blake have a receipt for an engagement ring he never told me about? Blake grabbed the receipt from my hand, studying it like he'd never seen it before. I didn't buy this. Don't lie to her, Candace said. She was still standing near the anniversary cake, arms crossed now. You bought it last Tuesday. I was with you. The room erupted. People started whispering. Blake's Aunt Denise gasped. His cousin Trevor pulled out his phone like he was about to record everything. Blake looked at Candace with pure confusion. What are you talking about? I haven't bought any ring. I wasn't even in the city last Tuesday. I was at a site inspection until 7 p.m. Blake, Sharon interrupted, her voice desperate now. Just stop. You don't have to keep lying. I know what you've been planning. What I've been planning? Blake's voice rose again. Mom, what the hell is happening? That's when Raymond finally spoke up. His voice was quiet, but it cut through all the noise. Sharon, enough. Sharon spun around to face her husband. Ray, stay out of this. No. Raymond looked at her with something between sadness and anger. This has gone too far. Way too far. Sharon's face crumbled. She looked around the room at all the guests staring at her, then back at Blake. I did this for you. All of it. I was trying to save you from making the biggest mistake of your life. Blake laughed, but there was no humor in it. Save me? By what exactly? Inviting my ex to every family event? Humiliating my girlfriend for 2 years? Staging some fake anniversary celebration? She's not right for you, Sharon said, pointing at me. I've known it from the beginning. You belong with Candace. You two have history. You understand each other. This girl? She gestured at me dismissively. She's just a phase. Once you realized it yourself, you'd thank me. I felt like I'd been slapped. But weirdly, I also felt vindicated. After 2 years of subtle insults and passive-aggressive comments, she was finally saying it out loud. She'd hated me this whole time and worked with Candace to break us up. That receipt? I said slowly, looking at Candace. You planted it, Candace smiled. Not a nice smile. Took you long enough. Blake's jacket has been hanging in their coat closet since he got here. Wasn't hard to slip it in. Blake looked like he might actually lose it. Why? Why would you do this? Because Sharon asked me to, Candace said simply. She thought if you saw it, if everyone saw you had a receipt for a ring, you'd panic. You'd realize you didn't actually want to marry her. She pointed at me. You'd see what a mistake you were making. And then what? Blake demanded. I'd just come running back to you. Candace shrugged. Maybe not today. But eventually, once you dumped her and had some time to remember what we had, yeah, I figured you'd come back. Sharon was nodding like this made perfect sense. Blake, we can fix this. We can still fix this. You don't have to stay with her just because you feel guilty. Candace is willing to take you back. She's always been willing. Blake just stared at his mother. You're both insane. We're protecting you, Sharon insisted, from making a terrible choice. Candace comes from a good family. She understands our world. She knows what it means to be part of this family. What it means? Blake repeated. What does that even mean, Mom? Sharon glanced at Raymond, then back at Blake. It means standards, Blake. It means marrying someone who fits, someone who belongs, someone rich, I said quietly. All eyes turned to me. That's what you mean, isn't it? Someone from money, someone with the right connections, someone who wears designer clothes and knows which fork to use at fancy dinners. Sharon's silence was answer enough. Blake grabbed my hand again. We're leaving, right now, and I don't want to hear from either of you again. But Raymond stepped in front of the door. Son, wait. Your mother was wrong to do this. But she's not the only one who owes you an explanation. Blake froze. What? Raymond looked at Sharon with disgust. Tell him the real reason you've been pushing Candace at him for 2 years. Sharon shook her head frantically. Ray, don't. Tell him or I will, Raymond said. His voice was steel. Sharon's face went from pale to red. Her hands were shaking. Blake, I was just trying to help you. Help me how? Blake demanded. Raymond answered instead. Your mother took out a loan 3 years ago from Candace's father. The room went completely silent again. Blake's grip on my hand tightened. What? $200,000, Raymond continued. She was trying to invest in some pyramid scheme one of her book club friends pitched. She promised big returns. She convinced me to let her use our savings, but when that wasn't enough, she went to Preston without telling me. Preston, Candace's dad. I'd met him once briefly. He owned some kind of commercial real estate company. The scheme collapsed, Raymond said. Your mother lost everything. Preston wanted his money back, with interest. We couldn't pay him. Still can't. Your mother's been making monthly payments for 3 years, but we're barely keeping up. Blake looked at Sharon. Is this true? Sharon's mascara was running in black streaks down her face. He said he'd forgive the debt if you married Candace. That's what Preston said. If you two got back together, got married, he'd consider us family and the debt would disappear. So you've been prostituting me? Blake's voice was shaking. For 3 years. It's not like that, Sharon said desperately. You loved Candace. You were happy with her. I was just helping you find your way back to her. And it would solve our financial problems too. Everyone would win. Except me, I said. Everyone looked at me again. Except me, the person you've been torturing for 2 years while you tried to pimp out your son to cover your gambling debts. It wasn't gambling, Sharon snapped. It was an investment. It was a pyramid scheme, Raymond corrected. And you lost our retirement because you were too greedy and too stupid to see it. Sharon started crying harder. Candace had moved away from her, looking uncomfortable for the first time. Blake just stood there staring at his mother like he'd never seen her before. Did you know? Blake asked Candace. About the debt? Candace hesitated, then nodded. My dad told me about 6 months ago. He said if I could get you back, he'd forgive what your mom owed. He thought we were good together anyway. Thought it would be nice to have you as a son-in-law. So this was all transactional, Blake said. You didn't actually want me back. You were just doing your dad a favor. I did want you back, Candace said, but her voice lacked conviction. At first anyway. But yeah, after a while, it was more about helping my dad and helping Sharon. I felt sorry for her. Blake laughed again, that hollow sound. Everybody was working together. My mom, my ex, her dad. Everybody scheming behind my back. And for what, money? $200,000 is a lot of money, Blake, Sharon said weakly. You know what else is a lot? Blake said. 2 years of my girlfriend being treated like garbage. 2 years of her sitting through dinners and holidays and parties where my mother and my ex took turns insulting her. 2 years of her smiling through it because she loved me and didn't want to cause problems with my family. He turned to look at me. 2 years of that? For a debt I didn't even know existed. For a scheme that had nothing to do with me? I couldn't read his expression. Part of me was terrified he was going to blame me somehow, like if I'd just said something earlier. This wouldn't have gotten so out of hand. But then he squeezed my hand. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. You told me to tell my mom to stop inviting Candace. You said it made you uncomfortable. I should have listened. I should have protected you from this. You didn't know, I said. I should have known something was wrong, Blake said. My mother has never acted like this before. The constant comparisons, the backhanded compliments, the way she talks about social circles and standards. That's not how she raised me, he turned back to Sharon. Or maybe it is how you raised me, and I just never noticed because I was on the right side of it. I was dating the girl you approved of, from the family you approved of, so I never saw how ugly you could be to someone who didn't fit your picture. Sharon reached for him. Blake, please. I love you. I just wanted what's best for you. Blake stepped back. No, you wanted what was best for you. You wanted to fix your mistake by sacrificing my happiness. And you dragged Candace into it, and Dad, and God knows who else. You turned family events into torture sessions for someone I love because you were too proud to admit you screwed up. Blake. Sharon tried again. We're done, Blake said. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. Until you get serious help and apologize to her, he nodded at me. We're done. He pulled me toward the door. Raymond stepped aside. As we walked past, Raymond touched Blake's arm. I'm sorry, son. I should have stopped her years ago. Blake just nodded. We made it outside before I started shaking. The cold air hit my face and suddenly everything crashed down on me. 2 years. 2 years of feeling like I wasn't good enough, like I was the problem, like maybe I really was too sensitive or too insecure or too whatever. And it was all a setup. A calculated, deliberate campaign to push me out so Blake would go back to Candace and Sharon's debt would disappear. Blake pulled me into his arms. I could feel him shaking too. I'm so sorry, he kept saying. I'm so sorry. We stood there in the driveway of his parents' house while people slowly started leaving the party, walking past us in uncomfortable silence. Blake's cousin Trevor stopped to say, That was messed up, man. Good luck. Blake's Aunt Denise asked if we were okay and if we needed anything. A few others just avoided eye contact and hurried to their cars. After about 15 minutes, Candace came out. She stopped a few feet away from us. Blake, can we talk? No, Blake said without looking at her. I just want to explain, Candace said. Blake finally looked up. Explain what? How you helped my mom torture my girlfriend for 2 years? How you showed up to family events in expensive dresses just to make her feel inadequate? How you made jokes about her appearance and her clothes and her job? I was helping Sharon, Candace said. She was desperate. Preston was threatening to take legal action. She was going to lose everything. She made her own choices, Blake said. And so did you. You chose to go along with it. You chose to be cruel to someone who never did anything to you. Candace looked at me. I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't think it would go on this long. I thought you'd break up with him months ago. I just stared at her. That was the point, wasn't it? Make me so miserable I'd leave? Candace didn't answer. Did you ever actually want him back? I asked. Or was it always just about your dad's money? Candace shifted uncomfortably. At first I thought maybe we could work. Blake and I had good years together. But after I met you and saw how he was with you, I knew he'd moved on. But my dad kept pushing. And Sharon was so desperate. I felt trapped in it. You could have said no, I pointed out. And let Sharon lose her house? Candace said. Let Preston sue her into bankruptcy? Blake's family would have been destroyed. So instead you destroyed me piece by piece every time I showed up to a family dinner, I said. That was your solution. Candace looked down. I thought you'd be tougher. I thought you'd stand up for yourself or tell Blake or something. I did tell Blake, I said. Multiple times. He wanted to confront Sharon. I told him not to because I didn't want to be the girlfriend who caused problems with his family. I thought if I just kept being polite and patient, eventually she'd accept me. I'm sorry, Candace said again. You keep saying that, Blake said. But sorry doesn't fix 2 years of psychological torture. Sorry doesn't fix what you put her through. You and my mom systematically tried to destroy her self-esteem so I'd leave her. Do you understand how sick that is? Candace bit her lip. Preston's going to be pissed. He was really counting on this working out. Let him be pissed, Blake said. Let him sue my mom. Let the chips fall where they fall. I'm done being a pawn in their financial games. Candace nodded slowly, then walked to her car. We watched her drive away. Then Raymond came out. He walked over to us, hands in his pockets. Your mother's inside crying. She wants to talk to you. I have nothing to say to her, Blake said. Raymond nodded like he expected that. I understand. I'll make sure she doesn't contact you. Give you both some space. Dad, did you know? Blake asked. About all of it? The plan to get me back with Candace? Raymond sighed. I knew about the debt. I found out about 6 months after she took it. I was furious. We had huge fights about it. But I didn't know about the rest of it until about a year ago. I saw texts between Sharon and Candace, planning what to wear to your birthday dinner, what comments to make, how to make your girlfriend feel unwelcome. And you didn't stop it? Blake said. I tried, Raymond said. I told Sharon she was going too far, that she was going to push you away. But she was convinced it would work. She was convinced you'd realize you made a mistake dating. What did she call you? Someone ordinary, I flinched. Blake pulled me closer. She called her ordinary? Raymond nodded. Among other things. Sharon comes from old money. Her family's had money for generations. She's always been very aware of social class, very concerned with maintaining certain standards. When you started dating Candace in high school, Sharon was thrilled. Candace's family is wealthy, established, the kind of people Sharon wanted you to marry into. When Candace broke up with you, Sharon was devastated. So when I started dating someone who isn't rich, she decided to sabotage it, Blake said. In her mind, she wasn't sabotaging, Raymond said. She was guiding you back to where you belonged. And when the debt situation with Preston came up, it felt like fate to her. Like the universe was giving her a reason to do what she'd wanted to do anyway. That's insane, Blake said. I know, Raymond agreed. I've told her that. I've told her she's going to lose you over this. She doesn't believe me. She thinks once you calm down, once you think about it rationally, you'll see she was right. I'll never see her as right, Blake said. Raymond looked at me. I'm sorry, truly, you seem like a good person. Blake's happier with you than he ever was with Candace. Anyone with eyes could see that. Sharon just didn't want to see it. I nodded but didn't say anything. What was there to say? Blake's father seemed genuinely sorry, but he'd also stood by and watched his wife torture me for a year after he found out about the plan. We left shortly after. Blake drove in silence for about 10 minutes before pulling into a random parking lot. He put the car in park and just sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel. I don't know what to do, he said finally. About your mom? I asked. About everything, he said. My mom, Candace, my family. How do I move forward from this? Every family memory I have is now tainted. Every holiday, every birthday, every dinner. I keep thinking about all the times Candace was there, all the comments my mom made, and now I know it was all calculated. It was all part of some sick plan. We don't have to figure it out tonight, I said. Blake looked at me. Do you hate me? What? No, why would I hate you? Because I let this happen, Blake said. You told me it bothered you. You told me Candace made you uncomfortable. I should have listened. I should have told my mom to stop inviting her. I should have seen what they were doing. You didn't know about the debt, I said. You didn't know they had a motive beyond just being mean. I should have protected you anyway, Blake said. You sat through 2 years of hell because I was too much of a coward to stand up to my mother. You weren't a coward, I said. You were trying to keep the peace. I was too. We were both trying to make it work with your family. Blake shook his head. I'm done trying to make it work with them. My mom can deal with her debt on her own. She created this mess. She can fix it. We sat in silence for a few more minutes. Then Blake said, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. My stomach dropped. Okay. Do you still want to be with me after all this? Blake asked. After seeing how messed up my family is? After everything they put you through? I took a deep breath. Can I ask you something first? Yeah, that receipt, I said. The one Candace planted. Were you actually planning to propose? Blake looked at me for a long moment. Then he reached into his other jacket pocket and pulled out a small box. My heart stopped. He opened it. Inside was a ring. Simple, beautiful, exactly the kind of thing I would have chosen. I bought it 3 weeks ago, Blake said. I was planning to propose next month, on the anniversary of when we met. I've been carrying it around, trying to figure out the perfect moment. But then Mom started pushing for this birthday party, and Candace started texting me all these random memories, and I felt like the universe was telling me to wait, to make sure I wasn't rushing into anything. Blake, I said. The receipt Candace planted was fake. Blake continued. She probably got it from some jewelry store website. But this, he held up the real ring, this is real. I want to marry you. I've wanted to marry you for months. But after tonight, I'd understand if you said no. If you said my family is too much drama and you don't want to deal with it. I looked at the ring, then at Blake, then back at the ring. Are you proposing right now? In a parking lot? After the worst night of our lives? Blake laughed, a real laugh this time. God, no, that would be terrible. I just wanted you to know it's real. My feelings are real. This isn't me trying to prove something to my mom or trying to rebel against her. This is me wanting to spend my life with you, regardless of what my family thinks. Your mom might disown you, I pointed out. Let her, Blake said. If the price of having her in my life is treating you like garbage, then I don't want her in my life. I kissed him. Right there in the parking lot of a random strip mall on the worst night of our lives. When we finally pulled apart, Blake was smiling. Is that a yes? That's a ask me again when we're both less traumatized, I said. But yeah, it's going to be a yes. We drove to my apartment and spent the night watching bad TV and eating ice cream. Blake's phone kept buzzing with texts from Sharon, from Candace, from various family members who'd heard what happened. He turned it off. We had 3 days before we had to go back to work and face reality. 3 days to figure out what came next. The next morning, Blake's phone had 47 missed calls. 32 from Sharon, 8 from Candace, 7 from Raymond. He scrolled through the voicemails on speaker so I could hear them too. Sharon's messages went from apologetic to angry to manipulative. The first few were her crying, saying she was sorry, begging Blake to call her. Then they shifted to blaming me. If I hadn't been so sensitive, none of this would have happened. If I knew my place, everyone would have been fine. By the last message, she was threatening to cut Blake out of his inheritance if he didn't come home and talk to her. Joke's on her, Blake said. I don't want her money. It's probably all going to pay back Preston anyway. Candace's messages were shorter. She was sorry. She knew she messed up. Could Blake please call her so they could talk? Raymond's messages were the most coherent. He asked Blake to call when he was ready. Said Sharon was having a breakdown and refused to eat or leave her room. Said the rest of the family was talking and it wasn't good. Blake deleted all the messages and blocked Sharon's number. We spent the day making plans. Blake called his landlord about breaking his lease early. He'd been living alone in a one-bedroom across town, but we decided he should move in with me. No point in paying for 2 places when we were planning to get married anyway. Then we made a list of everyone who needed to know what happened. Blake's close friends, my parents, our mutual friends. We decided to tell them the truth, all of it. Sharon's debt, the scheme with Candace, the fake receipt, everything. Blake didn't want there to be any confusion about why we were cutting off his mother. My parents were horrified. My mom actually cried when I told her about the 2 years of comments and backhanded insults. She felt guilty for not noticing how stressed I'd been after every family event. My dad wanted to drive to Sharon's house and tell her off. I talked him out of it. Blake's friends were split. Some of them weren't surprised. Apparently, Sharon had a reputation for being controlling and judgmental. Others were shocked because they'd always thought Sharon was sweet and welcoming. A few of them admitted they'd noticed Candace at family events and thought it was weird, but didn't want to say anything. By day 3, the story had spread through Blake's entire extended family. His Aunt Denise called to tell him that Sharon was telling people I'd turned Blake against his family, that I was controlling and manipulative, that Blake would realize his mistake eventually and come crawling back. Blake's cousin Trevor sent screenshots of a Facebook post Sharon had made. She'd written this long thing about how mothers know what's best for their children, and sometimes children make poor choices, and all a mother can do is pray they see the light. The comments were a mix of support and confusion. Blake decided to respond publicly. He wrote his own Facebook post laying out exactly what had happened. The debt to Preston, the scheme to get him back with Candace, the 2 years of deliberate cruelty toward me. He didn't hold back. He included screenshots of texts between Sharon and Candace planning what to say at events. He included copies of the loan documents Raymond had found. He included a timeline of every family event where Candace had been there. Then he ended with a simple statement. He loved me. He was going to marry me. Anyone who had a problem with that was no longer welcome in his life. The post exploded. Within hours, Blake had hundreds of comments and messages. Most were supportive. Some were critical. A few family members accused him of airing dirty laundry in public. But the overwhelming response was people saying they'd suspected something was off, or they'd noticed how Sharon and Candace treated me, or they thought it was weird Candace kept showing up to events. Blake's uncle Marshall, Raymond's brother, commented that he'd tried to warn Raymond about Sharon's obsession with social status years ago, but Raymond didn't listen. Blake's grandmother, Sharon's mother, called Raymond and reamed him out for not stopping Sharon sooner. Apparently, this kind of social climbing and manipulation was a family pattern. Sharon's mother had done the same thing to Raymond when he and Sharon first started dating. Raymond's family wasn't wealthy enough. He wasn't connected enough. Sharon's mother had spent years trying to break them up. Raymond stuck it out, and eventually Sharon's mother backed off, but apparently Sharon had learned all the wrong lessons from watching her mother. 2 weeks passed. Blake moved into my apartment. We settled into a new routine. He blocked several family members who kept trying to contact him on Sharon's behalf. I blocked Candace after she sent me a long message about how she hoped I understood she was just trying to help, and she really did think Blake and I were cute together. The worst part was going back to work. My coworkers had seen Blake's Facebook post because a few of them were Facebook friends with his cousin Trevor. They asked questions. They wanted details. I got tired of repeating the story, so I just started saying it's complicated and changing the subject. But one of my coworkers, Fiona, pulled me aside and told me her own mother-in-law story. Similar situation, different details. Her husband's mother had tried for years to break them up because Fiona wasn't Catholic. The harassment finally stopped when her husband threatened a restraining order. She said it took 5 years before her mother-in-law finally accepted their marriage. 5 years? That's what you're looking at, Fiona said. Years of her trying to win him back. Years of her testing boundaries. Years of her playing victim. You need to prepare yourself for a marathon, not a sprint. I asked Blake if he thought Sharon would keep trying. He said probably yes. He knew his mother. She didn't accept defeat easily. She'd see this as a temporary setback. She'd wait a few months, then start reaching out again. Start small. A birthday card. A random text. An invitation to Thanksgiving. She'd pretend the blow-up never happened and try to ease her way back into his life. And if that didn't work, she'd escalate. Get other family members involved. Stage some emergency that required Blake to come home. Play sick, threaten suicide. Sharon had a whole toolkit of manipulation tactics she'd used over the years on Raymond. Blake had seen her use them his whole childhood. We need a plan, I said. So we made one. We decided on hard boundaries. No contact with Sharon until she agreed to therapy and gave a genuine apology to me. Not a non-apology where she said she was sorry I felt hurt. A real apology acknowledging what she'd done and why it was wrong. No surprise visits. If she showed up at our apartment, we wouldn't answer the door. No using other family members as messengers. If someone tried to guilt Blake into talking to Sharon, they'd get cut off too. No social media stalking. We both made our profiles private and blocked anyone we didn't trust. And we agreed that if Sharon did anything threatening or dangerous, we'd involve the police immediately. 3 weeks after the birthday party, Raymond called Blake. Sharon had drained their savings to make a huge payment to Preston. She was trying to prove to Blake that she was taking care of the debt without needing him to marry Candace. But the payment barely made a dent. Preston was still demanding nearly $150,000 plus interest. Raymond didn't know what they were going to do. He was considering bankruptcy. He wanted Blake to know that if they lost the house, he understood. He knew it was Sharon's fault. He just wanted Blake to hear it from him first. Blake felt guilty. I could see it on his face after he hung up. Maybe I should help them, he said. With what money? I asked. We were both working regular jobs. We had savings, but nothing close to $150,000. I could take out a loan, Blake said. Refinance my car, something. And then what? I asked. Your mom doesn't learn anything. She gets bailed out again. She keeps thinking she can manipulate people and someone will always fix her mistakes. Blake knew I was right, but it didn't make him feel better. Raymond was a good guy. He didn't deserve to lose his house because his wife made terrible decisions. But we couldn't afford to save them. And even if we could, I wasn't sure we should. A month after the party, Candace reached out to Blake on LinkedIn. She sent him a message saying she'd gotten a new job in Seattle and was moving in 2 weeks. She wanted to meet for coffee before she left, just to clear the air. Blake asked me what I thought. I said it was his choice, but I didn't think he owed her anything. He decided to go. I didn't go with him. They met at a Starbucks downtown. Blake was gone for 2 hours. When he came back, he looked exhausted. She spent the whole time defending herself, Blake said. She kept saying she was just trying to help, that she thought we'd realize we weren't compatible and break up naturally. She said she never meant to hurt you, she just meant to speed up the inevitable. Unbelievable, I said. She also said Sharon's been calling her nonstop, Blake continued, blaming her for everything falling apart, saying if Candace had just been more charming, more convincing, I would have come around. Sharon wanted Candace to try again, to come to our apartment and beg me to reconsider. Is she going to? I asked. She said no, Blake said. She said she's done. She's moving to Seattle for a fresh start. Her dad is still pissed about the money, but he's agreed to settle for $100,000 from Sharon instead of the full amount plus interest. It's something. That's still a huge amount, I said. I know, Blake said. But it's better than bankruptcy. My dad's going to sell some stocks and take a loan against his 401k. They'll be broke for years, but at least they'll keep the house. Did Candace apologize to you? I asked. Sort of, Blake said. She said she was sorry things got so out of hand. But then she said, if you'd just been more secure in our relationship, none of it would have worked anyway. Like she still thinks the problem was you being too sensitive instead of her being deliberately cruel. I wasn't surprised. People like Candace and Sharon never fully accepted responsibility. They always found a way to shift blame. Blake pulled me into a hug. I meant what I said. I want to marry you. Whenever you're ready. I know this last month has been insane. I know you've seen the worst of my family, but I'm still hoping you'll say yes. I'll say yes, I said. Just not today. Let's give it a few more months. Make sure your mom isn't going to burn down my apartment or something. Blake laughed. Fair point. 2 months after the party, Blake's grandmother died. Sharon's mother. The funeral was awkward. We went because Blake wanted to pay his respects. He'd been close with his grandmother as a kid. Sharon was there, obviously. We saw her from across the church during the service. She looked thinner, older. She tried to approach Blake afterward, but he walked away. Raymond intercepted her and said something we couldn't hear. She started crying. Candace wasn't there. She'd already moved to Seattle. At the reception at Sharon's house afterward, we stayed for exactly 30 minutes. Long enough to be respectful, not long enough to cause a scene. Sharon tried 3 more times to talk to Blake. He ignored her every time. Finally, Raymond pulled us aside and asked Blake to please just listen to his mother for 5 minutes. Blake refused. He said Sharon knew exactly what she needed to do if she wanted to talk to him. Raymond sighed and said Sharon insisted she'd already apologized enough. Blake said one fake apology at the birthday party didn't count. Raymond didn't push it. As we were leaving, Sharon's sister, Blake's Aunt Patricia, stopped us. She told Blake that Sharon had been seeing a therapist, that she was trying to work through her issues with control and social status. Patricia thought Blake should give his mother another chance. Blake said he'd consider it when Sharon actually acknowledged what she did wrong instead of blaming everyone else. Patricia said we were being unreasonable. That family should forgive family. Blake said families should also not torture their son's girlfriend for 2 years, but here we were. We left. In the car, Blake said, I feel guilty for not feeling guilty. What do you mean? I asked. My grandmother just died, Blake said. I should be sad. But all I can think about is how she taught my mom all these toxic behaviors. How she manipulated my dad's family the same way my mom manipulated you. I'm not sad she's gone. I'm relieved. And that makes me feel like a terrible person. You're not terrible, I said. You're just recognizing patterns. That's healthy. 3 months after the party, Blake proposed for real. We were hiking in the mountains. He'd picked a spot overlooking a valley. The ring was the same one I'd seen that night in the parking lot. I said yes. We decided on a small wedding. Just close friends and the family members who'd been supportive. My parents, Blake's dad, Blake's Aunt Denise and cousin Trevor, his uncle Marshall, about 30 people total. We specifically didn't invite Sharon. Blake called Raymond to tell him about the engagement. Raymond congratulated us and asked if Sharon would be invited. Blake said no. Raymond understood but sounded sad about it. He asked if he could come. Blake said yes, of course. Raymond said he'd be there even if it meant coming alone. Will that cause problems with your mom? Blake asked. She'll get over it, Raymond said. Or she won't. Either way, I'm not missing my son's wedding. 4 months after the party, we set a date. 6 months out. Summer wedding. Small venue. Simple ceremony. We sent out invitations. Raymond RSVP'd yes immediately. So did everyone else we invited. No one questioned Sharon's absence. They all knew the story by now. We heard through the grapevine that Sharon was furious about not being invited. She'd told several family members that Blake was making the biggest mistake of his life, and he'd regret shutting her out. She'd also told people I'd brainwashed Blake and turned him against his family. Some people believed her. Most didn't. Blake's Aunt Patricia called to lecture him about excluding his mother. Blake told her if she wanted to skip the wedding too, that was her choice. Patricia hung up on him. 5 months after the party, Sharon showed up at my office. I was at my desk working when reception called to say I had a visitor. They sent her back before I could say no. Sharon walked into my cubicle looking put together. Hair done, makeup perfect. Designer handbag? The same act she'd been running for 2 years. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't, I said. I kept my voice calm. My coworker Fiona was in the next cubicle and I knew she'd hear everything. Please, Sharon said. Just 5 minutes. Woman to woman. You lost the right to talk to me woman to woman when you spent 2 years trying to destroy my self-esteem, I said. Leave, now. Sharon sat down in my guest chair like she hadn't heard me. I understand you're angry. You have every right to be. But you're keeping my son from me. You're tearing apart our family. I'm not keeping Blake from anyone, I said. Blake made his own choices. Blake is an adult. If he doesn't want to see you, that's his decision. He's only doing it because of you, Sharon insisted. Because you're making him feel guilty for maintaining a relationship with his mother. That's emotional manipulation, I almost laughed. The irony. Sharon, you need to leave. If you don't leave, I'm calling security. I came here to apologize, Sharon said. I came here to try to make peace. Don't you want peace? What I want, I said slowly, is for you to leave my office, leave my life, and stop pretending you're the victim in this situation. You schemed to break up your son's relationship. You enlisted his ex-girlfriend to help you torture me for 2 years. You planned family events specifically to humiliate me. You made me feel worthless because I didn't come from money. You told Blake he was making a mistake being with me. You told your entire family I wasn't good enough. You did all of that. Not me, you. Sharon's face hardened. I was protecting my son. You were protecting your own ego, I said. And trying to fix your financial problems by pimping out your son to your loan shark's daughter. That's not protection. That's exploitation. Sharon stood up. The fake politeness was gone now. You're never going to be part of this family. You'll never fit. Blake will realize that eventually. He'll realize I was right. Then I guess we'll see, I said. But right now, you need to leave before I have you escorted out. Sharon left. Fiona came around the corner as soon as she was gone. Holy shit. That was his mom? That was his mom, I confirmed. She's terrifying, Fiona said, in like a corporate sociopath kind of way. I called Blake and told him what happened. He was furious. He wanted to go to his parents' house and confront Sharon. I talked him down. Sharon wanted a reaction. She wanted drama. She wanted Blake to come to her, even if he was angry, because then she'd have a chance to work on him. The best thing we could do was nothing. I did call building security and gave them Sharon's description. Told them she wasn't authorized to visit me. They made a note in their system. That evening, Raymond called Blake. Sharon had come home crying, saying I'd yelled at her and threatened her. Raymond asked what really happened. Blake told him. Raymond apologized. He said he was trying to get Sharon to actually go to therapy, but she kept making excuses. She'd go to one session, then claim the therapist didn't understand her situation. She'd find reasons why every therapist was biased or incompetent. She hadn't made any real progress. 6 months after the party, it was our wedding day. Small ceremony in a garden. My parents walked me down the aisle together. Blake cried when he saw me. Raymond sat in the front row looking proud and sad at the same time. The ceremony was short. We'd written our own vows. Blake promised to always protect me, to always listen, to always put us first. I promised to be patient, to be honest, to be his partner in everything. We exchanged rings. We kissed, everyone clapped. At the reception, Raymond gave a toast. He welcomed me to the family officially. He said Blake was lucky to have found someone who loved him despite seeing the family drama. He said he hoped Sharon would eventually come around, but until then, he was proud of Blake for standing firm in his values. It was a good toast. A bittersweet toast. But good. Blake's Aunt Denise asked if we were worried Sharon would crash the wedding. We'd thought about it. We'd even hired extra security just in case. But Sharon never showed. Later, we found out from Raymond that she'd wanted to come. She'd gotten dressed up. She'd driven to the venue, but she couldn't bring herself to get out of the car. She sat in the parking lot for an hour, then drove home. Part of me felt sorry for her, missing her own son's wedding because she was too proud to admit she'd been wrong. But mostly, I just felt relieved she hadn't caused a scene. We honeymooned in Greece. 2 weeks of not thinking about family drama or toxic mother-in-laws or financial schemes. Just us. When we got back, Blake had a voicemail from Raymond. Sharon had been hospitalized. Panic attack. She'd thought she was having a heart attack. They'd kept her overnight for observation. Tests showed her heart was fine, but her blood pressure was dangerously high. The doctor said it was stress. Sharon had admitted to Raymond that she hadn't been sleeping. She'd been having anxiety attacks. She'd been obsessing over losing Blake. Raymond wanted Blake to know, not to guilt him, just to inform him. Blake listened to the voicemail twice. Then he said, "I'm not going to see her. Are you sure?" I asked. "She's playing games," Blake said. "A panic attack the day after our wedding? Convenient timing. She wants me to feel guilty and come running back. I'm not falling for it. What if it's real?" I asked. "It probably is real," Blake said. "She's made herself sick over this. But that's not my fault. That's her refusing to deal with her own behavior. I can't fix her. Only she can do that." Blake called Raymond and told him. Raymond understood. He said he'd keep Blake updated on Sharon's health, but he wouldn't push Blake to visit. A week later, Raymond called again. Sharon was out of the hospital. She'd started taking medication for anxiety. She'd agreed to see a therapist weekly instead of just occasionally. She was making an effort. Raymond thought Blake should know that too. Blake thanked him for the update but didn't change his mind about maintaining distance. 2 months after the wedding, we found out I was pregnant. Complete surprise. We hadn't been trying, but we weren't not trying either. Blake was ecstatic. I was terrified. Not about being a mom, about what it would mean for the Sharon situation. Because now there was a grandchild involved. Now Sharon would have another angle to work. Blake said we'd deal with it when we had to. We told my parents first. They were thrilled. We told Raymond. He congratulated us and asked if we were going to tell Sharon. Blake said no, not yet. Maybe not ever. Raymond said he understood, but he couldn't lie if Sharon asked him directly. Blake said that was fine. He didn't expect his dad to lie. He just didn't want to volunteer the information. Sharon found out anyway. 3 weeks later, Blake's cousin Trevor's girlfriend posted a congratulations message on Facebook and tagged me. Sharon apparently still stalked my social media even though I'd blocked her. She found the post through Trevor's girlfriend's public page. Raymond called Blake that night. Sharon knew. She was demanding to be part of the baby's life. She was insisting that Blake was punishing her by keeping her from her grandchild. She was threatening to sue for grandparents' rights. Blake told Raymond that grandparents' rights lawsuits rarely succeeded when parents were married and functioning. Sharon could threaten all she wanted. It wasn't going to change anything. Over the next few months, Sharon tried everything. She sent gifts to our apartment. Baby clothes, toys, books, we donated all of it. She sent cards. We threw them away. She tried to get other family members to plead her case. Blake shut them all down. She showed up at Raymond's workplace and caused a scene, demanding he talk sense into Blake. Raymond's boss had to ask her to leave. She posted on Facebook about the pain of being kept from your grandchild. Some people sympathized with her. Others pointed out that she must have done something pretty bad for her own son to cut her off. The comments section became a battlefield. 7 months pregnant, I went into early labor. Baby was okay, but it was scary. Blake called Raymond from the hospital. Raymond came immediately. He sat with us through the whole thing. Baby girl. 7 pounds. Healthy. Perfect. Blake cried. I cried. Raymond cried. We named her Mallory. When Raymond asked if we were going to tell Sharon, Blake said yes. Eventually. When he was ready. But not yet. Raymond asked to take a photo of the baby to show Sharon. Blake said no. Raymond understood, but he looked sad about it. Sharon found out anyway. Hospital staff. Someone who knew someone who saw the birth announcement. She tried to visit the hospital. Security turned her away. Blake had put her on a no-contact list. She called Raymond sobbing. Raymond told Blake later that it was one of the hardest conversations he'd ever had. Sharon was genuinely devastated, but she still couldn't take responsibility. She still blamed me. She still insisted Blake was overreacting. 2 weeks after Mallory was born, Sharon sent a letter, not to our apartment, to my parents' house. My mom forwarded it to us. The letter was 8 pages long, handwritten. It started with an apology. Sort of. Sharon said she was sorry for how things had turned out. Sorry that her intentions had been misunderstood. Sorry that I'd felt attacked. But then it devolved into justifications. She'd only been looking out for Blake. She'd only wanted what was best. Candace came from a good family. I didn't understand the importance of social connections. Blake was making a mistake cutting her off. The baby needed her grandmother. On and on. Blake read the first page, then threw the letter in the trash. She doesn't get it, he said. She still doesn't get it. 3 months after Mallory was born, Raymond asked if he could bring photos of Mallory to show Sharon. Just photos. Blake thought about it for a long time. Then he said yes. On one condition, Sharon had to write a real apology. Not to him, to me. Acknowledging specifically what she'd done wrong, why it was wrong, and what she was going to do differently if she did that, genuinely did that. Blake would consider letting her meet Mallory, but not before. Raymond agreed to pass along the message. 2 weeks later, Raymond came to our apartment with a letter from Sharon. This one was shorter, 3 pages. It started with an apology to me directly. Sharon said she'd been wrong to treat me the way she had. She'd been wrong to invite Candace to family events. She'd been wrong to make comments about my clothes and my background. She'd been wrong to scheme with Candace. She'd been wrong to prioritize her financial problems over Blake's happiness. She listed everything, specifically. Then she said she understood why Blake had cut her off. She said she'd been in therapy for 6 months. Her therapist had helped her see how her own upbringing had warped her values, how she'd been taught that money and social status were more important than kindness and character. She said she was working to unlearn those beliefs. She said she hoped I could forgive her someday. She said she understood if I never did. She ended the letter by saying she just wanted a chance to know her granddaughter, not to be a primary figure in Mallory's life, just to be present, to be someone Mallory could know existed and maybe someday understand. I read the letter 3 times. Blake watched me. What do you think? He asked. I think it's better, I said. I think it's the closest she's come to actually understanding what she did. But? Blake said. But I don't know if it's enough, I said. She apologized. She acknowledged what she did. But how do I know she won't do it again? How do I know she won't start making comments about Mallory's clothes or my parenting or our house being too small? We set boundaries, Blake said. Strict ones. The first time she crosses a line, she's out again. No second chances, we talked about it for days. We read the letter again and again. We talked to Raymond about whether Sharon's therapy seemed genuine. He said yes. She was going every week. She was taking the anxiety medication consistently. She was working on her controlling behaviors. She wasn't perfect. She still had moments of backsliding. But she was trying. That was more than she'd ever done before. Finally, we decided to meet with Sharon. Just Blake and me, no baby. Neutral location. Coffee shop? Sharon showed up early. She looked nervous. She'd lost weight. Her hair was different, softer, less styled. She stood when we walked in, like she wasn't sure if she should hug Blake or not. She didn't. We all sat down. The conversation was awkward at first. Sharon thanked us for coming. She said she knew she didn't deserve another chance. Blake asked her why she'd done it. Why she'd schemed with Candace for 2 years instead of just talking to him. Sharon took a long time to answer. Then she said, "Because I thought I could control the outcome. I thought if I just manipulated the situation correctly, you'd end up where I wanted you to be, where I thought you should be. I didn't trust you to make the right choice. And I was scared. Scared of what?" Blake asked. "Of losing status," Sharon admitted. "Of what people would think. Your father and I struggled when we first got married because his family wasn't wealthy. My mother was awful to him. People in my social circle looked down on us. It took years before we were accepted. Before we were invited to the right parties and the right clubs. When you started dating Candace, I was relieved. She was from our world. People approved. When you broke up with her and started dating," she looked at me, "someone who wasn't from our world, I panicked. I thought history was repeating itself. I thought you'd struggle the way your father and I struggled. So I tried to fix it before it became a problem. By making me the problem," I said. Sharon nodded. "Yes, and I'm sorry. I was cruel. I convinced myself I was being practical, but I was just being cruel. We talked for 2 hours. Sharon answered every question. She didn't make excuses. She didn't play victim. She just explained her thought process, acknowledged it was wrong, and laid out what she was doing to change. By the end, I didn't trust her completely, but I believed she was trying. Blake and I went home and talked more. We decided to allow supervised visits. Sharon could see Mallory at our apartment with both of us present. 1 hour every other week to start. If she respected boundaries and didn't make any comments, we'd reevaluate in a few months. The first visit was tense. Sharon held Mallory and cried. She told her granddaughter she was sorry for missing the first months of her life. She told Blake she was grateful he was giving her this chance. She didn't make any comments about the apartment or our belongings or anything else. She just focused on the baby. When the hour was up, she thanked us and left without trying to negotiate more time. Blake and I looked at each other. "That went better than I expected," he said. The visits continued. Slowly, gradually, Sharon started to earn back small pieces of trust. She never pushed boundaries. She never made inappropriate comments. She asked permission before buying gifts. She respected when we said no to things. After 6 months, we allowed unsupervised visits, short ones, an afternoon at the park, lunch at her house with Raymond there. Sharon was careful. She knew she was on thin ice. One wrong move, and she'd lose access again. Mallory turned 1. We had a small party. We invited Sharon. She came. She was polite to my parents. She complimented the decorations. She didn't try to take over or make it about her. She just participated like a normal grandmother. Afterwards, Blake told me he felt like he'd gotten his mom back. Not the mom who'd spent 2 years scheming, the mom he remembered from childhood, before the obsession with status and control took over. I told him I hoped that was true, but I was still watching, still waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's been 2 years since the birthday party. Sharon is part of our lives again. Carefully, with boundaries. She still goes to therapy. She still takes her medication. She still has moments where I can see her fighting her instincts to control situations. But she fights them. She doesn't give in. Last month, she pulled me aside at a family dinner and thanked me for not giving up on Blake, for making him happy, for giving her a chance to know her granddaughter. She said she understood if I never fully forgave her. She said she wouldn't blame me, but she wanted me to know she was grateful. I told her I was working on it. That forgiveness was a process. She said she understood, that she'd wait as long as it took. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust Sharon. The 2 years of comments and manipulation left scars, but I can see she's trying. And for now, that's enough. Blake and I have a good life. We have Mallory. We have careers we love. We have a little house we bought last year. We have family. Dinners with my parents and Raymond and Sharon where nobody makes passive-aggressive comments. We have peace. It's not perfect. There are still awkward moments. Still times when Sharon says something that makes me tense up, even though she immediately apologizes and corrects herself. Still times when Blake has to remind his mom that we're adults and can make our own decisions. But it's manageable. And honestly, after everything we went through, manageable feels like a victory. Candace, for what it's worth, is still in Seattle. She sent Blake a LinkedIn message last year saying she'd gotten married to some tech guy she met at work. She said she hoped we were happy. Blake didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. The other day, Mallory was playing in the living room and knocked over a photo from our wedding. The frame cracked. While I was cleaning it up, I found myself thinking about that night at Sharon's birthday party. That moment when everything exploded. When Blake finally snapped and called out his mother and Candace. When I got that text telling me to check his pocket. I still don't know who sent that text. I asked Blake once if he figured it out. He said no. He'd gone through the party guest list. Nobody admitted to it. My theory is it was someone who'd been watching Sharon and Candace scheme for months and finally decided to blow it up. Maybe one of Blake's cousins. Maybe a family friend. Maybe even Raymond, though he swears it wasn't him. Whoever it was, they changed everything. Because without that text, without that receipt, We might have left that party with just Blake's outburst. Sharon and Candace could have played victims, could have made it seem like Blake overreacted to nothing. But the receipt, even though it was fake, led to all the other revelations. The debt, the scheme, the 2 years of calculated cruelty. Everything came out because someone sent that text. I wish I could thank them. Blake fixed the photo frame, put the wedding picture back on the shelf. Looking at it now, I remember how scared I was that day. Scared Sharon would show up and ruin everything. Scared Blake would change his mind. Scared I'd end up trapped in a marriage with a monster-in-law who'd never accept me. But none of that happened. We got married, we built a life, we had a baby, and eventually, with a lot of work and therapy and boundary setting, we even got to a place where Sharon could be part of that life without destroying it. I'm not going to pretend it's a fairy tale ending. Sharon and I will never be close. I'll never forget the 2 years of comments about my clothes, my job, my background. I'll never fully trust her not to slip back into old patterns, but I can coexist with her. I can let her be Mallory's grandmother. I can watch Blake rebuild his relationship with his mother, carefully and slowly, without feeling like I'm losing something. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all anyone can ask for after something like this. Last week, Sharon asked if she could take Mallory to the zoo. Just the two of them. Blake and I looked at each other. 2 years ago, we would have said no instantly. 1 year ago, we would have said maybe, with conditions. But last week, after everything Sharon has done to prove she's changed, after all, the therapy and the apologies and the careful boundary respecting, we said yes. Sharon picked up Mallory on Saturday morning. She had a bag packed with snacks and sunscreen and a change of clothes in case Mallory got messy. She went over the schedule with us 3 times. What time she'd have her home. What to do if Mallory got fussy. Emergency contacts. She treated it like a military operation. Blake told her to relax. She laughed nervously and said she didn't want to mess it up. They were gone for 4 hours. Blake and I had the house to ourselves for the first time in months. We should have used the time to clean or catch up on projects or do something productive. Instead, we sat on the couch and watched TV and didn't talk about whether Sharon was going to do something wrong. When they got back, Mallory was exhausted and happy. Sharon looked exhausted and happy too. She told us about the zoo, about how Mallory loved the penguins, about how she'd insisted on seeing the elephants 3 times, about how a little boy tried to take Mallory's toy and Sharon had to mediate. Normal grandmother things. When Sharon left, Blake hugged her. A real hug. Not the awkward side hugs they'd been doing for the past year. A real one. Sharon cried. She told Blake she loved him. He said he loved her too. After she drove away, Blake said, "I think we're going to be okay." "Yeah," I said. "I think so too." It's not a perfect story. There's no moment where Sharon got down on her knees and begged for forgiveness and everything magically became okay. Real life doesn't work like that. People are complicated. Change is slow. Trust has to be rebuilt piece by piece over months and years. But we're doing it. We're building something new, something healthier, something based on actual respect instead of manipulation and control. And that's enough. That's more than enough. Yesterday, Sharon asked if she could host Thanksgiving at her house this year. Blake asked if she was sure she could handle it. Sharon said yes. She'd been planning it with her therapist. She'd made a list of potential triggers and how to manage them. She'd prepared conversation topics that didn't involve money or social status. She'd even asked for input on the menu so nobody felt like she was controlling everything. Blake told her yes. We'd come to Thanksgiving. My parents too. Sharon looked so happy she almost cried again. She's been crying a lot lately. Happy tears mostly. Relief tears. I'm still waiting for something to go wrong. Still watching for signs that she's falling back into old patterns. Still prepared to enforce boundaries if necessary. But so far, she's holding steady. So far, she's keeping the promises she made. And maybe, eventually, I'll stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Maybe I'll fully believe that Sharon has changed. That the monster-in-law who spent 2 years trying to drive me away is gone, and this new version, this grandmother who plays with Mallory and respects our choices and goes to therapy every week, is here to stay. Maybe. But even if I never fully believe it, even if there's always a part of me that stays guarded, we're making it work. And sometimes that's all you can do. Take it day by day. Enforce boundaries. Celebrate small victories. And hope that the people who hurt you are genuinely trying to be better. That's where we are now. 2 years after the worst birthday party of our lives. 2 years after everything exploded and Blake cut off his mother and we started over. We're here. We're okay. We're building something. And that's enough.